Most of us have heard the term energy vampire. If you haven't heard that term yet, this is a great session to listen to. If you have heard the term, this is also a great session to listen to because we're going to cover not only what that is and how to protect yourself, but we're going to also cover how to help said energy vampire. So if you're new to this channel, if you're just popping in here, please hit subscribe and like. It really helps the channel a lot. Plus, you get all these videos on your intuitive journey. Okay, everyone at some point has been affected by an energy vampire. Let's just start right out of the gate by talking about how sensational this term is. I do love this term because it's just got that mwahaha behind it, right? The whole vampire concept. But I'm not going to steer away from the term energy vampire. Sometimes when you get kind of a negative connotation on a term, you'll hear me say, let's talk about it in this light instead. But this one, I'm not going to steer away from it. Why? Because it's really important to recognize them, protect ourselves from them, and balance our own inner space. Also, there are times, and I'm going to get to this, there are times that we can actually help somebody who is being an energy vampire. So I wouldn't say that this is a negative term that we would label someone and be like, this is who you are. This is not about who someone is. You can have a very kind, loving individual who's an energy vampire. You can have a narcissist who's an energy vampire. You can have a very kind, loving individual that is not an energy vampire, and you can have a narcissist that's not an energy vampire. So all of these things are possible. And it's kind of important to keep that in mind. Let's separate out behavior from energy vampire. That's a big thing too, because when you meet somebody, sometimes their behavior can be manipulative. Trust me, I know. And if you're with or around manipulative people and you start to figure it out, sometimes when we're with manipulative people, we don't realize we are because why? They're manipulative. When you start to figure it out or you are aware of it, please take steps. And sometimes for some cases, safe steps, but please take steps to find help, to talk to others, and to find a way to move on with your life without these manipulative people in it. It's way better. Life is a lot better. It's a wonderful thing. So, but this is different. The manipulation tactics are different than energy vampire. An energy vampire is somebody who, upon standing next to you, doesn't even need to say a word and will energetically drain you. That's really the difference. And yeah, we can throw energy vampire on, an ex-narcissist or something. We're like, such an energy vampire. It's a great descriptor. Absolutely, go for it, use it. But today in this video, I really want to break down the difference between what I'm talking about. So I'm not talking about manipulative behavior in this one. I'm talking about the energy drain, the taking of your energy automatically to feed their own. So when I say everyone has been affected by an energy vampire at some point, this is what I mean. You don't even have to know them. It can happen in a grocery store. It can happen at the hardware store. It can happen at a car lot. It can happen anywhere. It can happen at a daycare center. It can happen at a place of worship. It can happen anywhere. Good, bad, blah, 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 blah. Doesn't matter. So when you become aware that this is a possibility, and you know me, that's my food for thought. I love giving you possibilities because the more possibilities I give you, the more you start to have more experiences and become aware of more of what's going on around you. So I'm giving you this possibility kind of in the sense of, hey, it can happen anytime. And if you start to pay attention to that, start to pay attention to the cues that your energetic body is giving you. But what would be really great is if you left this session with this technique that we're going to talk about today. If you left this session rarely ever being affected by an energy vampire, then that's a win. That's a win for you and me here today. So we've divided out manipulative behavior from energy vampire. Energy vampire is just someone who is depleted energetically, who unconsciously uses the need and the attention in such a way to pull other people's energy from their energy fields. So let's break this down. even further, because sometimes visuals can be very helpful. We have 3 bodies. When we're here on Earth, we've got 3 of them. We've got the physical body, which is awesome. That's how I'm actually speaking with you today, which is a wonderful thing. We have the programming body, which is our human mind on linear time. It's our name, it's, our tendencies, it's how we interact in the world. Then we have our energy body, aka our spirit or our spiritual body. That, and I'm going to call it the energy body today for this session because that's what it's all linked into. That energy body not only contains your physical body, but it extends outside of your physical body. So think of your energetic body as a large bubble you're moving around in, right? It's not within your body, it's within, but also expands outside. And our energetic body in times of very high vibration, volunteer work, loving, supporting, sending out good energy, our energy body will actually expand. And when we're really contained, scared, focused, really in our human state, our energy body will contract and be closer to our physical body. And when we are not taking care of our energetic body, we can take on energies. We can take on other people's energies. I've talked about this a lot in the past, but our energy can also be taken out of our energy body as well. I'd say it like this. Lots of us grew up with parents saying, stranger danger, personal space, put clothing on. A lot of us were taught these techniques to take care of our physical body, but most of us were not taught we also have this energy body and we do need to take care of it. And along comes an energy vampire and they're feeling low. They're either consciously or unconsciously, because that's a very common question I get. Do they know they're doing it? Some do, some don't. Drawing our energy out to fill up theirs. It's that, well, your glass of water is full, mine's empty. I'm taking all the water out of your glass. And since it's energy, it is structured. How do I want to say that? It is structured and it is decided based on intent. Our energy body is really, I don't want to say it's controlled because your spirit is not controlled by anything you necessarily do, but it is influenced by your intent. So when you set your intent to protect your energetic space and to not have anything that is not for your highest good coming into your space, that's literally all you need to do. It's literally all you need to do. So I reference a technique. It's GCP. A lot of you that are watching this, most of you that are watching this, have been following me for a little bit. You already know this technique. You've been using it. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And for somebody that's been using this technique for a while, I can typically ask them, on average, do you have less negative people around you every day? And they always say yes. Yep. Yep. We've got a lot of things going on here. GCP is Ground Clear Protect. And while it's very simple, I can give you absolute basics of it in this video. I'm going to give you a link to be able to watch it in way more depth to really understand the mechanics of it and how it all works. The video is completely free. I wish everyone in the world used this technique. It's yours. It doesn't cost anything. You don't need any tools. You can simply do this every single day, and it's an absolute game changer in your human life. So I will set you up with that link so you can watch that video. But basic. GCP is Ground Clear Protect. Ground. Find a way to ground into Mother Earth, whether you simply ask her, hey, can you ground me into the earth so I can go higher with more stability, tree roots out of your feet, whatever that is. The second step is to clear. Pick an element that you love and set your intent and imagination to have that entire element go all the way through you. Just the element just entirely washing away that which you no longer need. Then lastly is protect. This is where we say, if you don't have a protection practice, imagine a bubble going around you that completely contains your energetic body. And we say to that bubble, that which is not for my highest good is not allowed in. That which is for my highest good is allowed in. GCP does not line up with any particular tradition. It doesn't. GCP was given to me by my guides This is a practice that is basic, simple, very easy to do. Anyone can do this. And if it does find its way to lining up with your tradition, even better, even better. Bring in the elements and the traditions you love. But I could go on and on about GCP. It's the number one tool that really anyone opening up spiritually needs to use. So when you do this tool, over time, it's going to take, at first it'll take a minute to walk through. Over time, it'll take a few seconds. So you can just run through it real quick in your head, walk into the store, run through it real quick in your head, go into work, whatever you need to do. This itself is going to eliminate the majority of energy vampire situations. And I'm going to talk about what happens when it doesn't. So that's the tool. That's the tool. Start using it. Even if you just use GCP for a week and you didn't run into any energy vampires, you're still going to end that week going, whoa, things are different. Things are different. That's really cool. What's happening is you're starting to pay attention to the fact that you have an energy body and the fact that that energy body is affected in this world before you ever are. So the energy body gets affected by sounds, feelings, energies, vibrations before they actually turn into hitting your five senses. Again, I could go on for a long time. Watch the entire training video through that link that I give you. So here we go. We've got energy vampires. We now have GCP. We've got this thing where we've set up and said, hey, if it's not for my highest good, it's not allowed in my space. Now you go out and about. Most situations aren't going to drain you, but you're still going to have a situation that does. Why? This is the hard part, because it has to, and it's part of your path. So if you set up a protection practice that says, hey, if it's part of my path, it's allowed in, and then you are drained by somebody that is an energy vampire, that's a have to situation. That's a situation that you had to go through. And if you know me at all, if you've gotten to know me, I don't like to sugarcoat things and say, oh, everything's wonderful and this will solve everything. No, we're humans. We are having a human experience and hopefully we are loving it. And if you're not loving it, start doing some of these practices and watch this whole path start to unfold for you. But we're human and we're going to have ups and downs. We're going to have them the rest of our lives. And it's just going to be part of it. So you come across somebody, and even though you've done GCP, even though you've protected your energetic space, you still get drained. And you realize, okay, I'm being drained. Somebody is draining my energy. The next step is to identify, to sit down, to go through your yes and no intuition. Was it this person? Yes or no? Was it this person? Yes or no? Was it this situation? If you're really unsure, start with large blocks of time. Was it at work? Was it at school? Was it at home? And narrow it down. And this is if you're just beginning your intuitive journey. If you're far into your intuitive journey, just sit down and say, hey, all right, who did that? And let the imagery come through. And this is not being done to confront or not being done to do anything other than you figuring out your game plan moving forward. That's it. So if you're new to intuition, use yes and no intuition. If you've been using it for a while, just ask who this might be about. Then you can make a game plan to set your next GCP up to say, hey, I'm holding my space. I got the message. I know that I have some interacting to do with this individual. I now got the message because they did drain my energy. I do know that I have to interact with this person, so I need to make adjustments. This is where you start to take care of yourself. Now, the number of situations that are possible are endless, so this is where you sit down, do a little bit of inner work. Start with what you want. Let me say that again. Because I love you. Start with what you want. What outcome do you want? And then work backwards from there. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this on the podcast version, you're probably a people pleaser, because people pleasers are wired to step into their spiritual path. It's part of the spiritual path process. So this is my loving way of saying, this is where we start. This is where we start. And it can be anything short of, or anything to do with cutting down the time spent with the individual, changing the topic with the individual, or setting up a complete personal boundary with the individual. Now, I said that I was going to talk to you about how to help said energy vampire. And I am, but maybe not in a way that you thought initially. When you have this experience, you've done your GCP, you've gone out in the world, you've interacted, you've run across an energy vampire, you were drained, you went back and utilized your intuition to find out when this was happening to you. First off, was it an energy vampire, or are you just drained because you're tired? We have to explore all this. But let's say you've explored all of it, you've sat down with it, and you've discovered, yes, it's an energy vampire, and this is when I interact with them, and this is what happens. And then you've made the decision. Do I limit my time? Do I change the topic? Or do I completely cut them out? Do I set that healthy personal boundary? Whatever your decision is actually going to help them. It's going to help them. And so you don't necessarily even need to do anything, but you have to do something for you. And the reason why I said this might not be the way you think of it is because that's not how us people pleasers think of it. I'm a recovering people pleaser. I know the path, man. I know it. But you taking care of yourself is going to help them. That's not something we were raised listening to. No one told us that. No one said, hey, by setting this healthy boundary, you might actually help the person. There are certain situations in extreme that people talk about, when you cut someone off from this, it might pick them up and they might, this is what I'm talking about. You're helping the other individual is done by you helping you. And if we want to take this out of personal, if we want to take this out of human interaction, and we just want to talk about the simple fact that by not allowing your energy to be drained, by not allowing an energy vampire to take your energy, you're not giving them the crutch that they've been using by not taking care of themselves. So sometimes things have to get a little uncomfortable before we actually do something. And sometimes that's done with love. So take care of yourself. The loving act of you taking care of yourself, and also knowing that this is a loving act to help that individual actually start to become more aware of what's going on for themselves, or take a good look, or be invited into doing inner work themselves. You're actually helping them. And that's it. So start doing GCP ASAP. Seriously, find the link. It's free. There's no cost. Watch the video, do it. You're going to absolutely love it. And once you see it, you'll be like, oh yeah, it's that simple. Wow. Why weren't we taught this when we were kids? I don't know, but it is what it is. Here we are today. Start doing that right away and give yourself the time to evaluate what's going on when you're still affected. Make the choice to take care of yourself, knowing that that will also assist in the life path of the energy vampire themselves. I talked about yes and no intuition, so click this video next. If you haven't watched it yet, this is going to run down everything you need to know about yes and no intuition and how to do it.